Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we're on the Wheat Quality Council tour across the state of Kansas for 2016, and we're going to be speaking to various participants of this tour and their take on how the wheat crop has been up to this point and where it's going. So we've got to take a break, and we'll see you back after these words from our sponsor. See you in a minute.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we have Ben Hancock, the Executive Vice President of the Wheat Quality Council, and we're on the annual Wheat Quality Council tour in Kansas. And there's been a number of them, Ben. I remember Tom Roberts years ago, and this is your 25th tour, if I recall, and this is your last one. You're hanging up your cleats.
I am hanging up my cleats. It's been a long road.
Well,
it's been a blast.
You've done a very, very good job.
Well, thank you.
So, Ben, what do you think the importance of this wheat quality tour is to the industry, to producers? I know I had a farmer call me this afternoon and said, "Are you responsible for that 20-cent bushel drop today?" So tell us. Tell me how to answer that. So,
well, I'll tell you what I did. I shut my phone off.
Okay.
Because I know I'm going to get the same calls.
Okay.
But every time we drive the wheat price up, I've never had a thank you note. But the importance to me is that we do this as a service to the industry. We have members that are millers and bakers and wheat commissions and the buyers and the grain traders, and they're all members of the council, and they all want to know what kind of a crop we might have this year. So we are out here giving them a snapshot in time of what might be coming to their flour mills and their bakeries in the next few months.
Because that really depends. I mean, they have to plan railroad cars. What the grain that's already in the elevators, what they're going to do with that. So it's a kind of a chain reaction.
Exactly. And those elevators look at this Kansas crop and say, what are we going to do with it?
Right.
We don't have any place to put it all.
Right.
So the crop looks really good. But, I don't think we talk enough about the benefits of what it is to the farmer.
Right, okay.
The grain companies are out here with people traipsing around their wheat fields every day. Mm-hmm. They know what the crop is.
Right.
The farmer is the last guy to know because the grain guy ain't going to tell him what his crop is.
Right.
So the farmer, the best way he can find out, in my opinion, is to either come on this tour or follow what we're doing on this tour, and we're going to give him a snapshot of what he has. And he ought to know what he has to
And his neighbors.
And his neighbors, what he has to sell.
Right. So now we've got to work on the price, though.
Well, yeah, we've got a problem with the price.
Yeah.
And neither you or I can fix it.
Right. So Ben, being this year's your last year, you're, like I said, you're hanging it up after next spring. So what's going to happen from that point on?
Well, nobody's irreplaceable, as you know.
Yeah, I do know.
You've been replaced.
Yeah.
So they will find somebody to replace me, and we'll continue to do the thing just like we've done for the last 45 years or whatever the number is. And the key to the thing, as far as I'm concerned, is not what all you know, it's how you know to deal with people.
Right.
And you got to be able to interact with everybody in the industry. And
from A to Z.
From A to Z. You don't have to be very smart about wheat quality. You just need to be able to lead people and to get them to love you.
Okay. So I got that. So you made your wife do that.
I did. Okay. 52 years ago.
Okay.
If we make it to June, we ain't made it yet, so
okay.
I ain't counting that.
Okay. Ben, thank you for taking time. I appreciate it. You've done a good job.
It's been a blast.
Folks, hang on. We got to take a break from our sponsors. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
I think Blueville does a great job of being educational in nature. They answer people's questions. They do it willingly. So we really appreciate that up close and personal approach that they have and how well they listen to their customers and respond to their needs.
And they're very prompt with things that we need to have done. And so we're very pleased with the service.
It's kind of a one-stop shop for all of your gardening and landscape needs.
Heinen Brothers, a fourth-generation Northeast Kansas farm family, knows how tough farming can be. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag, selling and servicing crop protection products, fertilizer, anhydrous ammonia, cover crops, quality aerial and ground application. Call today to learn about our extended term financing program. 800-760-4964. HeinenBrothersAg.com.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, your host, and with us, we're lucky to have Jeannie Falk Jones, the multi-county agronomist in Northwest Kansas. And Jeannie, I know you've been really busy this spring, and it's going to continue to be busy. So tell us what you've seen and what you've been up to here as of late.
So I think in the last 2 weeks, we've really started getting stripe rust reports from throughout Northwest Kansas. And as we start getting those reports, we've been educating producers basically to be kind of on the lookout. So we've kind of developed this whole network of everybody sending reports in or sending pictures of what they're finding, and then we try to do some type of email release and other efforts to get the word out of what's actually being
Well, you
found in the
tweet,
field.
you have a Facebook page, and you
Yes.
tweet as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have K-State Sunflower District Agronomy Facebook page. And so everything that goes on Facebook is on Twitter, is on our Sunflower District website, and it's going out in just a mass email to growers. And so I have been trying to put out at least a weekly email, if not more frequently, when we're finding stuff in the field about
Right.
what's going on with stripe rust.
Right.
And that's really been helped by the plant pathology department putting out a map that's really showing where stripe rust is showing up in the state, so that we kind of have that early warning system of what we need to be looking for and when we need to start watching our growth and development on our wheat plants and really ultimately making decisions on what's going forward. And really our efforts on that is that we want growers to be able to make educated decisions, so that we're not reacting, we're not seeing it and thinking, oh my gosh, we need to do something now. We need to take all the components into effect of how do you make that fungicide application for stripe rust.
Because a lot of times it's too late. You don't get the biggest bang for your buck.
That's exactly right. And last year we had a pretty intense stripe rust year, and that was
Right.
really brought on by a lot of rainfall events and cool temperatures.
Yeah, late in the season.
Late in the season, that's exactly right. And so growers were, do we make an application early? Do we make it late? Do we make one at all? And so really I want growers to understand that they have all of this information at their fingertips so that they can make a good educated decision. We talk about what the growth stage of the wheat plant is at. We talk about yield potential of the fields. I won't give them yield potential. I make them make that decision themselves. But we talk about products that are applied, potential loss of yield, really lots of things that go into that decision making
Well,
process.
price of wheat does too.
Price of wheat.
And the variety that you are using.
That's exactly right, yes. And several guys I've talked to, we talk about how much is in the budget for fungicide. And with the wheat price, some of these guys are telling me zero, but that doesn't always make the decision on whether or not to do it.
Well, a lot of times too, producers will say, well, I want to protect the yield that I've got.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that we're really starting to do some decisions with, is that so many yield components are already set, and so now we're really talking about how do we protect what we still have left.
Right. All right. Jeannie, thanks for taking time to talk to us today.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, and with us we have Dr. Lucas Hague, K-State's Northwest area agronomist. Lucas, thanks for being with us. And I know you've been doing a lot of traveling here the last few weeks, and you have your waders on with all the rain up in this area. But tell us what you've been up to here in the last couple of weeks, and
Sure.
what are you seeing?
You bet. So the dynamic has certainly changed once we got the rains that we'd been really waiting on. Had those rains come another week, 2 weeks later, we'd be looking at a completely different set of situations for this year's wheat crop. So really,
and not a good one.
And not a good one, no. And we'd be really looking hard at what our yield potentials could have been as we're trying to make some decisions on stripe rust. But yeah, it's also been those wet conditions that's really brought us some of these disease issues. So it's kind of a good problem to have. It's bringing us some diseases, but yet at the same time, our yield potential is going up as a result of the precipitation we've received. And so really prospects for the wheat crop, I think, across northwest Kansas look fairly positive. We're set up in a position now where we have a fair bit of moisture in the soil profile to get us through grain fill. So barring things like hail and late freeze, it's really what type of temperatures do we get during this grain fill period is going to make a big difference for us.
Right. Is it low 70s or is it mid to upper 90s? There's a big difference in yield in that regard too.
Yeah, and so and as you mentioned, the scene on the wheat tour, we've got good tillering out there. Despite the drought stress that we had good stands in the fall, and we've really been able to maintain a lot of those primary tillers. Mm-hmm. And so with good grain fill conditions, I think we have some really nice yield prospects, both in our irrigated, our summer fallow, and our continuous systems.
Lucas, on the way out, I noticed a few fields that I would say look a little peaked. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, and that's been a real challenge for our growers this year. We talk a lot about nitrogen management, trying to get that top dress application made before joining, and our guys did a real good job of that. Mm-hmm. The challenge was, of course, we need moisture to get that nitrogen moved down into the profile. And that moisture came fairly late for us. And so there's a little bit of concern. I mean, we see some stunted growth, some nitrogen deficiency, and maybe even in some extreme cases, we impacted our potential kernels per head by being nitrogen deficient at that joint stage.
Yeah, smaller heads. So it's taken some moisture to get that nitrogen down into the profile. So, I mean, we could come on later on, from this point on, and that those yellowish plants turn a little bit greener.
Sure. I mean, and we've already seen that the wheat's really is snapped out of that in a lot of cases, and we've made up some ground there. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about water use and water use efficiency. The big thing is how many bushels occur for every inch of moisture. So can you real briefly talk a little bit about that?
Sure, and so we see a range in that figure, and a lot of it comes back to what are those environmental conditions for us, like right now during grain fill. And so if we have an excellent time period during grain fill, we can make very efficient use of that water and may see water use efficiencies as high as 8 bushels per inch of water.
Mm-hmm. But realistically,
on a long-term average, our data sets in western Kansas would point to a number more around that 4 bushels per inch.
Yeah, even 6 would be a real good
good
one.
year.
Yeah, 4 to 6, I always say. Thought to.
Yep.
Lucas, thanks for taking time to talk to us. Appreciate it. We'll be talking to you down the road. Folks, stay with us. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, and we're in luck because we have Gerald Franklin, a farmer from Sherman County, is with us right now. And Gerald, it's been quite a year since planting time last year till just a couple weeks ago.
It's been a wild ride. It definitely has. We started off in September and we were dry. And we wondered, boy, what do? We put off drilling wheat, and we really drilled most of our wheat the 1st of October. And then the Lord was good to us and it started raining. The wheat got to be about, 6 to 8 inches tall last fall. And then it turned off hot and dry again. We had a warm February, broke dormancy, it came out. And we thought, we're in big trouble.
Because you got a lot of tillers there.
Because we got a lot of tillers.
And it's warm and hot and dry.
And there's no moisture. And then lo and behold, it rained again this spring. And in fact, we had 5 inches of snow. And our wheat probably is in just about the boot stage. And so we were worried. So that made you a little worried.
Yes. It was a wet snow.
It was a wet snow, and we ended up with 1.25 inches worth of moisture out of it. And we were worried. We were worried about it falling over and crimping, and we were worried about it freezing, because on the western edge of Sherman County, there were reports of 27 degrees.
Right. Yeah, so, for a couple mornings in a row.
For a couple mornings in a row, yeah.
A lot of the state did not catch those same rains that you did. Last fall.
That's correct.
And further south and in the central part of the state, they didn't catch that, which is kind of opposite of what normally happens.
That's exactly right. We've been blessed. We had good rains last fall. Kind of slowed down corn harvest, but that's okay. We can deal with that. And the corn came off quick enough. We could even drill some wheat back into the corn stalks, so it would help with the water usage.
So, Gerald, tell me this: compared to past years, how's it stacking up compared to last year? Or I think 97 was a pretty darn good year.
I will say, when I drive by my wheat fields today, I just grin. They look that good. And if on the wheat tour today they said maybe we're going to have 10 bushels more than we had a year ago, that brings smiles. But the new wheat varieties, and the moisture we've had,
it's been excellent timing.
It's been everything has been good. We've been very fortunate.
You talk about everything that's good, but with the good, there's always the other side of the coin there. So what are you seeing?
We were just out in fields today, and we do have stripe rest on the bottom 2 leaves, and we already have our order in for a fungicide treatment. And I would guess probably within 10 days we'll be spraying fungicides.
Right, that's probably a good time to have it on.
A year ago, it made 20 bushel an acre difference. Whether you applied or whether you didn't apply.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's impressive.
That imprints on you, and you remember that the next year.
Yes. No question, we're going to spray this year.
Gerald, appreciate you taking time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
We started farming in 1970. It was harder work then than it is now, a lot more physical work and the wear and tear on my knees and my body. Now here I'm 70 years old. I started having knee pain here 4 or 5 years ago, and so I was looking for a stem cell clinic, and lo and behold, my good friend John Farley and Ken Wood, who'd been customers and friends for a number of years, opened their clinic, and in about 2 months my heel was a lot better, and then at the end of 3 months and then going on 4, my knee started making significant improvement, and it's sure been a blessing, because Before I had the stem cells, well, I'd be driving a tractor, and if I sat in a tractor for 2 or 3 hours, when I got out, I'd have to stop and get the kinks out of my knee and shake it. And today, that's not a problem.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
If you missed the opportunity to apply crabgrass preventer to your lawn last month, there's still time. Apply Fertilum's new product, Professional Turf Weed Out Plus Crabgrass Preventer. This product kills new crabgrass, it also prevents new crabgrass and other weeds, kills dandelions and fertilizes your lawn all in one application.
Visit Jackson's. We'll show you how to grow the best lawn in your neighborhood.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, and we're in luck because we have Romulo Lalato, Extension Wheat Specialist at K-State. This is his second tour. And last year, you were kind of taking over for me, so that's a good deal. I'm glad you've taken over. So, Romulo, what have you been seeing, and where have you been spending your time?
Jim, thanks for having me here today, first of all. So we have been seeing, first compared to last year, so far the crop's looking much better than the last wheat quality tour that we have had.
Yeah, on 15, right.
On 15, yeah. Back last year, we had a lot of drought stress. We were seeing very short crops. And simultaneously with the drought, we had a lot of stripe rust as well.
Right.
Now, this year, the crop's looking better. That rain came about a couple weeks earlier than it did last year when it started back in May. And this year started April 15th or so. So seeing much better crop condition overall, much better yield potential.
Well, what's good for wheat is also good for the diseases, unfortunately.
Exactly. So mostly on that central corridor, seeing some stripe rust. The producers seem to be pretty active this year. Quite a bit of airplanes flying and fungicides being sprayed. But you can definitely tell the fields that have not been sprayed, right, where that stripe rust really took on and is really reaching the upper canopy.
You can see it from the road.
You definitely can. You definitely can see that orange tint to it from the road. Yeah. So, but luckily, most of the fields that we have visited, they were much cleaner than what I was expecting based on our reports, based on what we were listening to.
So, and speaking of that, the producers have and can listen to you on Facebook, Twitter, and other media.
Sure, we are constantly putting out this information on Twitter at KSU Wheat, also on Facebook at K-State Wheat, and through agronomy e-updates as well, and the Department of Agronomy at Kansas State University. So those are a few ways the producers can reach me. Also from May 9th, we started with the wheat plot tours, so the county variety demonstration plots, as well as the variety performance test plots, where we have plot tours for producers to go ahead and listen about different varieties and learn about different varieties. Maybe try to have a better choice whenever they come to choose the variety on their property.
Yeah, I always found that those wheat plot tours were my favorite time of the year, and I learned the most for those 6 weeks of the year.
Yeah, there's a lot that go on there, a lot of learning. You can really tell the difference between varieties as far as maturity, as far as disease package, as far as many other things that you can really tell the difference between varieties and help you choose the best one for your own region, for your own property.
Right. Romulo, thanks again for being on, and stay out there in the wheat fields and let us know how it's going. I appreciate it.
Thanks Jim.
Again. Folks, thanks for being with us as well, and don't forget, this time next week, we'll have another issue of That's My Farm. Hope to see you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamInKansas.com.